Okay, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm sorry. Good afternoon. Good afternoon today. Usually when we learn the Chumash, but in this week's Torah portion, we pretty much finished the main part of it, except a couple interesting details that maybe we'll do tomorrow. Like, for instance, the half tribe of Manasseh that they got land on the other side outside of Israel. We'll talk about that. But I think that's something more urgent, and that is let's learn the laws of the Holy Temple. Huh? Now in the 3 weeks when we are so concerned with the absence of the Holy Temple, as the Rebbe stressed many times, that one way to correct the situation is to learn the laws of the Holy Temple. And anyone who learns the laws of the Holy Temple, it is though he has built the third Holy Temple. So first of all, let's have a general look at what the Holy Temple is supposed to look like. Ready? Here we go. Let's see. Will this come up? I hope this will come up for me. Oh, here we have a general look of what the Holy Temple looks like. And the prototype was made in the desert when the Jewish people made the tabernacle. So we've already been over this a few times, but it doesn't hurt to go over it again. And not only that, it helps because we desperately need the Holy Temple. So here we go. 1 minute. Something happened over here. Something happened. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is the basic layout of the Holy Temple. Somehow or other, don't ask me how it's going to be, but it's going to come from heaven. The third temple will come from heaven and it will land exactly where it's supposed to be, because there's a big question about where the altar was, the outer altar, where it was. It has to be exactly in the right place. And that exactly right place, only a prophet can really determine. So that's another reason for saying that we can't just take it on ourselves and just build that temple. What are we waiting for? We're waiting, first of all, Moshiach. The Rambam writes clearly, Maimonides, that he's the expert on the topic. And in fact, in a way, there's no other expert on the topic. And nobody disagrees with what the Rambam says as far as the temple goes. Nobody. At least nobody of his caliber. And he's very clearly, and we're going to learn some of the laws of the Holy Temple. But let's have a look right now. There are basically three areas in the temple. There's what's called the devir. The pictures here are not really very accurate. You can't really tell exactly what's going on over here in these pictures. I don't know. I can't figure this business out. So I'm not going to try to explain these pictures because it doesn't seem from any angle that they're right. If this is the way that he's coming, anyway, forget it. Let's go. The devir. Here's the entrance. This picture is very sort of misleading. This is supposed to be the golden altar. If this is the entrance, I imagine these sort of lines are supposed to be the sign of the Holy of Holies. Who knows what's going on here? These people take this poetic license, unless I'm just not understanding it. Anyway, if this is the entrance where he comes in, and the Holy of Holies is over here, Holy of Holies, let's say, is in this direction, right here in this direction. So then that's, I don't know. It still doesn't work out. It has to work out. This golden altar is supposed to be here. And when the Kohen comes in, so this is on his left. This table, this is the showbread table, which is a very terrible look at a picture of this. I don't know how these people put it in. I mean, it's just not totally not accurate at all. Okay, let's just get rid of these pictures. It's very sort of aggravating. Oh, if the guy's already going to put in a picture, so at least make the picture accurate. Okay, here, this is the devir. This is where they're called the Holy of Holies. I don't know what this thing is. Holy of Holies. Anyway, in the Holy of Holies was only one thing, and that is the Ark with the tablets. The Ark and the tablets. How did the Ark and the tablets look like? It was like a rectangle, that the wide part of the rectangle was here, and it had two poles on the short sides of the rectangle that stuck out. Only the holy priest went in here. The high priest went in once a year, and not for a very long time. He went on that day. He went in several times to do various things. Okay. Outside of that is a place called the Heichal. This Heichal, that's this picture that's supposed to be the Heichal. See, look at this terrible picture. I don't get it. Anyway, I forget it. In this Devir is only one thing. That's it. The Ark. In the Heichal, there was on the left side were the candelabra. On the right side were 12 loaves of bread stacked up on 6 levels. And in the middle, when they came, and in the sort of the middle, in the middle was the golden altar for the incense. So the Kohen then would come in here. Let's see, I have my pointer. The Kohen would come in to the Heichal. The first thing you would meet, the outside part was empty. Then there would be an altar, a golden altar, a candelabra, 12 loaves of bread stacked up on these tables. Then there was a curtain here, and here was only the Ark. Disregard this picture. It was only the Ark here. So that's going from the Holy of Holies outward. Then there was an introduction room called the Ulam. The Ulam was just a place that was a antechamber, they call it. Then outside in this yard, there was what's called the copper altar, Mizbeach HaNechoshet, which we'll go into the details of that. But essentially, there was a ramp that went up to it, and there was wood that was burning. 3, some people say 4. Over here was where they slaughtered all the animals. This is where the animals were slaughtered. The animals which required to be slaughtered here. Some animals were slaughtered here as well. And this was the outer courtyard. This is called the Ezrat Nashim. Over here, anybody could go. Anyone could go. As long as you were pure, as long as you were had not touched a dead body. Or there's various other qualifications as well, but that's the main one. So if you're coming in from the outside, this is the east. Oh, this is the east. You come into the Holy Temple. And then there are stairs that you go up. And this was called where the Kohanim, only the Kohanim could go here. Owners would, the animals would be slaughtered here. The Kodesh Kedoshim were slaughtered here. Then there was the Ulam, then the Heichal, and then the Devir. That's generally the way that the layout, of the tabernacle. I want to just take 1 second here. All right, so that's the basic layout of the Holy Temple. There are certain changes. Sometimes it's going to be a little bit bigger. One room is larger than the other, from the tabernacle to the first temple to the second temple. And there's projections of what will be in the third temple, because in the prophet Ezekiel is written the third temple, but it's written in a very sort of not clear way. It has to be explained. But here we go. You come into the temple. Here is this is an open courtyard. It's called the courtyard of the women, open courtyard. Anyone can go in that hasn't been impure by a dead body or whatever. And then there are 4 different rooms here that are used. This one's for storing wood for the altar, and this, and etc. We'll talk about that later. Here is the altar. This is the main thing. This is the altar. Only the Kohanim can go here. This is the altar where the sacrifices are made. This is the ramp that the pieces of the sacrifices were taken up to be burned here. We'll get a clearer picture that there was how it looked, how many fires there were going on. Here were rings that they tied the animals down in order to slaughter them, because a lot of times there were cows and sheep that had to be slaughtered. Okay. And then they would go up these steps. There was an entrance room, and then only the Kohen also could only go in here. Only one Kohen. It would light incense every morning. It would light the candles before the evening. The showbread would be changed once a week. And here we have the Devir. This is where the ark was with the holy temple. I don't know what this picture is doing. And that was entered only once a year by the holy priest. And these were rooms where things the Kohanim would put their clothes in, etc. Okay, but that's the general outlook. There it is. That's the general outlook. Now this was on the mountain in the holy temple in Jerusalem, and it was built. You can see over here. One second. They also have a picture over here. How do they have it? No. Oh, you have to go back. There's the Heichal. This is the Heichal, right? All right. Let's see. One second. If you go back, they had some sort of nice pictures over there. There we go. Oh, see, here's the picture. Here's the picture of what it looked like from the side. As it actually went up, there were levels that it went up. So it was the front wall, and that you met that was pretty high. Right? It came out to be, according to this picture, in any case, it is 39, 49, 57. 57 amos high, 57, I guess 67. 57 amos high, which 57 amos high means like about 8 stories high. This outer, this is how it was built up on ramps, so to speak. This front, there's another place I read there where it says it was higher than that. Okay, let's have a look. Right, let's go, and now we see in general what we're expecting. Now, according to a lot of opinions, and that's what also the Hasidim, Chabad, etc., all accept, is that most of the Kabbalists, that the third temple will come from heaven. And this is also written in the Torah. So there's a Tosfot, also a couple places, that the third temple will come from heaven. Mikdash Hashem konan yerdecha. The third temple will come from heaven, and that what it says the Jews will build it means that we're supposed to learn the laws, and also it says that we'll raise up the doors, these doors, which I say are sunk. They were sunk in the ground. Okay. Let's learn a little bit the laws from the Rambam. See if we can get this over here. Start from the beginning. Ooh. Ready? Rambam. We'll do the English. Huh? It is a positive commandment to construct a house for God. Construct. We have to build it. Rambam says we've got to build it. Huh? So that's the opinion of the Rambam, that we have to do the building. Not exactly like the Kabbalists, the Ramban, and others that say it will come from heaven. Okay, nevertheless, it is a positive commandment to construct the house of God. And the purpose of this house of God is to make sacrifices to be offered. And we have to go 3 times a year up in the holidays, Passover and Shavuot and Sukkot. What's Sukkot called? Tabernacles. The sanctuary that was made by Moses is explained exactly in the Torah. But that was only temporary. We'll see how temporary it was. It lasted like 480 years. We'll see. Like it says, till you have not come to the proper place. After the Jews entered the land of Israel. Okay, now take out your pencils, and we'll start making calculations over here. After the Jews entered the land of Israel, so they built they wandered 40 years in the desert with the tabernacle. Remember? Want to see a picture of the tabernacle? Is it necessary? Who knows? You want to see a picture? Here, I'll show you a picture of the tabernacle. Tabernacle looked the same thing as the temple did. It was just much smaller, and the top of it was covered over by skins, animal skins, and other things. But basically, it was the same thing. There was a holy of holy. That was where the ark was with the tablets. There was outside a holy. That was where the golden altar was, and the face bread, and the menorah, right, the candelabra. Then there was on the outside, there was the big altar. That was the main thing. There was, in any case, when the Jews came into the land of Israel, until the first temple was built by King Solomon, was going to be 440 years. And all that time they had to have a sacrifice. They had to have some sort of a tabernacle, a temple, something to use to make the sacrifices. So the sanctuary, they brought the tabernacle with them, and they built it in Gilgal for 14 years. Why 14 years? For 7 years they conquered the land, and 7 years they apportioned the land to the land of Israel, to the different tribes. And then from Gilgal, this tabernacle moved to Shiloh. And Shiloh, that was like a house of stone. And there was curtains of a sanctuary over it. It did not have a roof. It was only a tabernacle. That stood for 369 years. And when Eli died, he was the last of the judges, the shoftim. When he died, there was like 15 shoftim, 15 judges. Eli was there. He was right after Samson, Eli. So when he died, it was destroyed. So they'd already been in the land of Israel for 369 plus 14, which is 383, right? Years. Afterwards, they came to Nob, and they built a sanctuary. When Shmuel died, it was destroyed. Then they came to a place called Givon, and they built a sanctuary in Givon. It's not exactly clear how long it stayed in each place, but both of them together, Nob and Givon, was 57 years. Altogether, if you add the whole business up, it comes to be 440 years. After this 440-year period, from the time when the Jews entered the land of Israel until King Solomon built the temple, as there were the tabernacle in different forms, was in these 4 different places: Gilgal, Shiloh, Nob, and Givon. Okay, but then King Solomon built a temple in Jerusalem. Then after that, it was forbidden to make a sanctuary or a temple to offer sacrifices any other place. When the Jews came into Israel, so the first 14 years, it was permissible to make what was called a bama. People could make offerings. They could make a little altar outside of their house and make offerings to God as free will offerings. And so it was in the last 2 in Givon. And when it was in Givon and Nov, also they could make a. But meanwhile, the tabernacle, so it moved from place to place. But after the temple was built in Jerusalem, that's it. It will never move to another place again, even not back to one of these places where it was before. There can never be any holy temple in any other generations except for Jerusalem, and specifically on Mount Moriah. Mount Moriah is the Har HaBayit. This Mount Moriah is the place we're going to see where Abraham sacrificed Yitzchak. We'll see these. It's a special place. Like it says, David declared, "This is the house of God, and this is the altar for the burnt offerings of Israel, and this is my resting place forever." Right? Because David did not build the holy temple; he just set the plan for the holy temple. The design of the structure built by King Solomon is explained in the book of Kings. First book of Kings, chapter 6. Talks about how King Solomon built the first temple. In contrast to the third temple, which is mentioned in Ezekiel, which is not explained at all. So it comes out that the tabernacle was exactly explained. The first temple is exactly explained. You can look in the Torah. The third temple is only sort of hinted at. We don't exactly. What about the second temple? Ezra. You know a little history of the Jewish people. So Ezra, he was with the Jewish people in Babylon. And he came back after the temple. He came back to help build the second temple. So he built it according to the Temple of Solomon and according to other certain aspects which are stated clearly in Ezekiel. Right? These are the essential elements when constructing the house. That's what we said before. Okay, the sanctuary. What's the sanctuary? That's what he called over here, the whole Heichal. That's the place where both remember we have this picture. Where is it? I hope you see this here. This is called the Heichal. This is where the ark is with it, and where these two, that's called the sanctuary, the Heichal and the Kodesh Kadoshim. That's what it's called in general. So these are the main ingredients. Let's go back. So you have to have the sanctuary, the Holy of Holies, and in front of the sanctuary, that's called the Heichal. That's where why does he say over here? That's right. Okay, very good. Okay. That was the golden altar, the menorah, and the table, which is called the Holy. And then there was the Holy of Holies. That's where the ark was kept. And then preceding both of them was a place called the entrance hall. That was the Ulam. Remember we saw that? And these three things are called the temple. These three things are called the temple. Let's have a look again. Here we go. See, these three things are called the temple. We had the picture over here. Where's the picture? There we go. This. If you look from a side point of view, can we look from a side? Is there a side? It looks like sort of a T. Oh, here we go. This is where the tabernacle, this is where the ark was, this is where the candelabra was, etc., and the golden altar, and this is what just an entrance place. That's called the ulam. All of these together, that's called this whole business. Let's go back. Temple. That's the whole called the heichal. In addition, we have to make another place. All of it, I'm sorry. Okay, so all of it together is called the mikdash. The mikdash. So there's the devir, that's the Holy of Holies. There's the heichal, that's the outer part where the golden altar is, and the menorah. And then there's this big entranceway. It looks like a T. That's called the mikdash. In addition, you have to make another partition, which is set off from it slightly. And this is similar to the courtyard of the tent of meeting. This is called the courtyard. The whole business, that's what he says, is called the mikdash. Interestingly enough, though, he does not say, one second. All right, good. Okay. The following utensils are also, there has to be an altar for the burnt offerings on the other sacrifices outside. There has to be a ramp that goes up to the altar. There has to be a wash basin before it. Let's have the pictures. Here we go. I hope these pictures come out. Here we go. There has to be here the altar, bronze altar. There's a ramp that goes up to the altar. That's called the kevish. There's a kior. That's where you wash your hands before. That's in addition to this whole business that he calls the Mikdash. This is the Mikdash, and this is the altar, which is before the Mikdash. Inside of this second room, there has to be an altar for the incense offerings, the menorah, and the table for the showbread. That's all of that is here in this room. Here is where the candelabra was. Here's where the 12 loaves of bread are in these tables. And over here was the altar for the incense. The menorah was on the south to the left of one who entered. The table was on the right. The showbread was put on it. Both of them are close to the Holy of Holies on the outside. That was in the inside half of this room. Inside half, all these three were in the inside half of this room. Over here, that's where they were. When they built that temple, there has to be large stones. If you can't find the large stones, you could do it also with bricks. Just one moment, please. One moment. Don't hang up. Don't hang up. Okay, so you have to be, when you're building the temple in Jerusalem, you have to use big stones. If you can't find big stones, you can also make bricks. But the main thing is that when you when you make these stones, you shouldn't touch them with any iron on the holy mountain. Because you have to hew them out before you take them to the mountain. There can't. That's number one. Okay, then you hew them, the stones, and then you bring them up to the mountain already prepared. Also, you can't use any wood to make it. There were costly stones on the floor, etc. If any of these stones that are on the floor, once they're put on the floor, they can't be uprooted anymore. Can't be uprooted. Okay, the building should be as beautiful as possible. If you want to, you can plate it with gold if you want to, the Holy Temple. You can't build a Holy Temple at nighttime, only in the daytime. Everyone's obligated to, every Jew, man and woman in the temple, to give money, to give whatever you can. And this we're going to continue, God willing, tomorrow. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Have a good day with Moshiach now.